Hi everyone. So today I did a something a little different than usual. Um, I was asked to do a reading on someone specific that I didn't know anything about. I didn't know who they were, which was even better. So that way it's a blind reading, so there's no kind of interference of what I may be preconditioned to see. So the name of this person was Ray Kurzweil. I think that's how you say it. Ray Kurzweil. I don't know. Weil. I don't know. Something like that. Either way, what I found out after I did part of the reading was that he is an inventor and he has created things related to transhumanism and AI technology and things of that nature. So I see why the person who requested me to do this reading wanted me to do it, was to see, like, is this person like into some weird like conspiracy stuff, because there's a lot of conspiracies around transhumanism. So like, where's this guy stand, like what's going on with this guy behind the scenes? And so I didn't know anything about this guy. I just knew he was a person of interest, and that was all I knew, besides for knowing his name, which I didn't recognize because I didn't know who he was. um, for some reason I kept wanting to call it Kurzweiler because that sounded familiar to me, but I don't know if maybe there's someone with that last name out there. Anyways, I did this reading where I just wrote it down as it came to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and just read word for word what I wrote about him. Before I knew anything about him, I wrote actor, oops, actor putting on a show like a magician, doing stunts with a black hat, but more for humor. So that part was kind of interesting. Shredding up hyperactive rabbit, and I see things through symbols. So this is like, there's like a rabbit and he's like hunting and he's like kind of slicing it up, and it's like this Bugs Bunny rabbit that represented show business or the general public's eye, and using it to make soup with while being in the wilderness. So this kind of represents taking that kind of chaotic energy of the public's attention and somehow using that to survive off of. I think this could be probably related to money and finance. That would make sense to me. So moving on to what I wrote, I saw him stomping feet for what he wants, very demanding on personal level, not wanting too much exuberance, but basic survival and comfort. Very masculine energy, very individualistic. Could be around other people, but still be matched to no one. Like energetically matching to someone, not match. He's not matching to other people, and not even aware of their needs or existence. Very creative on how to get to the next step, almost like an inventor. Oh, that was pretty good on that guess. Using the natural environment to generate what he needs. And then I wrote, image of killing deer and making survival needs met by doing so. And this is what I was seeing, the symbolic images I was seeing that gave me that information was of him like with a deer head, and like he had killed this deer and he was using the natural environment around him to generate what he needs. Obviously this is symbolic, and interpret that how you will. Putting on a show like a sophisticated clown squirting water in someone's face, but the joke is not on him because he's squirting water in someone else's face. He is outsmarting other people with magic tricks. This is in the energy of challenge and becoming better. This is not negative or even competitive as much as in the spirit of cleverness and inventiveness. He gets what he needs from the world by performing these tricks and then slips off into solitude. He is also a seeker, seeking the next big thing behind the curtain. He is self-motivated and doesn't care about external rewards. He does it for himself. He wants to do more. He is escaping his mother's energy, trying to get away and be an individual so he can pursue his dreams. He needs personal space and knows it. He is very talented at what he does and doesn't want anything to get in the way. There is an inventor, scientist vibe to him. Oh, I was pretty spot on with that. He pulls out a rabbit from his hat and throws it at people, which is a past invention of his. Again, symbolic rabbit. And then keeps walking down the road at a fast pace, using the rabbit as a way of getting away from the crowd, as in the rabbit distracts other people from where he's at currently. Type A personality, high achiever. There is a church/governmental building he is involved with. And at first I wrote church/governmental building because at first that's what it looked like. But as I kept reading, it becomes obvious that it was more of a governmental type of building. And this is, again, symbolic, not literal. Trying to work with people in there is rewarding but challenging. It's like he is involved with bills being passed. He isn't making the calls, but is involved in some process, like providing information or using this information to further his position within the organization. When a bill is being passed, he takes note of everything involved beyond the bill itself. He understands the inner workings of his position, that is insider info only, almost like a secret society, but more in the open. He is respected, but it is still the work of a businessman with the important responsibilities and ramifications of not performing well. Under pressure socially within organization. Scientific/political organization. He is driven by being insightful and connecting dots. He likes the challenge of it and has a very strong focus to deal with it. He may affect the markets in some way. He is driven by himself. He has some interests backing him, but has some interests backing him that may have some influence on the direction he is going. This all looks very official and like a courtroom type of seriousness. I see him putting on a presentation as if to convince a group of powerful, influential men to back his plan or invest in it. Very clever and witty to control people's attention and perception of him. Very clever man. Almost like he is making future plans for the city planners. He is somewhat of a trickster because of his cleverness and self-interest in convincing other people of his ambitions. I see his ideas being used by other people in part of their bigger scheme, as if it fits into their puzzle of a master plan for the future of the world the way they want. Big investor types. His showmanship is used to motivate others. This is also about profits, but with a bigger picture and ambitious dream attached to it. So it is about the money, but it is also bigger than the money. It is about being successful, powerful, influential, and creative. He wants to create something cool for the world and eventually go back to normal life and be content with his contribution to society. I see him struggling a little more with the ins and outs of his dreams, but I also see the next 3 to 10 years him calming down and going back to the standard lifestyle of daily pleasures rather than focused on this journey. I see him being satisfied with his journey and finding satisfaction in telling stories from the past about it in the future. He will be an achieved person, and have something interesting to contribute to his more so settled down lifestyle in the future. There may be some rise back into it later on, however, as if his company may depend on it and he feels the need to keep things afloat. And then I added, assuming he has a company, because at this point I still had no idea who I was reading, but I just got the sense that he did. I don't know if he actually owns a company or not, but regardless, that's the way I interpreted it. Is he motivated to save society or get rich? I gave him a 2 out of 5. 1 being save society, 5 being get rich. In other words, is he just doing it out of pure greed, like he doesn't care anything about people or society, or is he more caring? I get that he's more so on the caring side. 2 out of 5. And then I wrote, he has a spirit of an entrepreneur, businessman. Obviously, he does. But obviously, I wrote that before I knew who he was. Have his inventions been used for evil? And this is just a question that I came up with on my own. I said 2 out of 5. 1 good, 5 evil. So overall, not so much, but maybe a little bit. So at this point, I ended the reading, and I looked him up, and I just did like a quick Wikipedia, just to get a gist of what he is about. And I saw that he was an inventor, and I was like, wow, I said inventor. And then that was basically all I knew. And I was like, okay, well, I was on point. And at that point, I mentioned what I had read to the person who requested I do this, and they had some more questions for me. So I didn't read any more about him. So at this point, all I knew was he was a inventor, and that I think it said he was an inventor that had to do with looking into the future, which is also what I was reading about his influence, like city planner, mapping out the future of the city or something like that, symbolically. So anyways, this person wanted to know more about him and asked some questions. So they asked about his dad, early life, present life, future. So I wrote, not interested in his father as a child, more interested in his own inner drive as child/teen. And I saw this represented as him walking by his father at a fast pace to go do something else, to focus on what he wants to focus on his own ambitions. More interested in sharing with his father now that he is more successful, as if now he has something to share. When the future father dies, there is sadness and interest in what his father did and his father's success, which he ignored in the past. And the next thing they wanted to know about was government building intentions. What I was reading, the government building, symbolically, I take that to mean those who are in charge of the economy, those types of people. That's what that building represented. And what was the intentions? What I got was create a safe haven for those in power, keep the power, be the rulers of the kingdom, and control the masses. So next thing they wanted to know, does his work make room for more feminine energy on the planet? I wrote, I see him embracing feminine energy specifically in his private life. I see his work being neutral on the issue, but definitely open to it. I do see his work being used with and benefiting feminine energy. Next thing they wanted to know, how does he think of working with blind people like Stevie Wonder? I wrote, he's like, whatever, and doesn't have plans for it, and isn't interested in controlling the creative flow which comes on its own accord. He says if the world needs it, then sure, but there are no indications that it is in the biggest priority. There may be aspects of his work that could be connected to that type of work, but it is not where it is heading overall. It is heading wherever the biggest demand is for it, and it doesn't seem to be that. He is chasing the bigger picture and not interested in specialized projects. Next thing they wanted to know, where does his inventiveness come from? His inventiveness comes from the highest good for all. He is here for advancement of humanity. This comes from his higher self. He is not channeling this info from any specific beings. This is his true spiritual expression manifest in the 3D. There is an aspect of God-sent energy here, aka he has a spiritual agreement with the protectors of humanity to evolve the human spirit, similar to Nikola Tesla, without as much external help. He is good at putting puzzle pieces together, and he is fueled by his self-determination and consistency with good luck that is manifested from his complete faith and dedicated uninterrupted, and dedication being uninterrupted. So this is important because this is around after this I read that he is into transhumanism and controversial subjects like that. Is he for the good of humanity? Is this like AI and transhumanism? Those are things that he's involved with apparently, and so I was definitely getting that he's not like creating negativity within that. Although earlier I also was reading to the contrary, that some of what he's doing is being used by other interests to further their plans. But just like any tool that you create, it's going to be used for good and bad. So, but overall, where he's coming from, it definitely seems to be much more positive than I would have thought if I had just read it, or if I had read his Wikipedia page without actually doing a reading on him before knowing what he was about. So the next thing they wanted to know was, what does he think of the Metaverse? What I got was, he isn't particularly intrigued, but would get into it if that was where things were headed. What about 3D printing? He is intrigued and could definitely incorporate it into his work. Has he worked with or met aliens? He believes in ETs. I don't think this is necessarily publicly, maybe like in his heart. He believes in ETs. He has not worked with aliens knowingly, but he suspects he may have unknowingly, or they may have been very human-like, as if to not know the difference. And who knows? Maybe I'm off on this, but this is just the sense that I was getting. Has he ever gone off planet? I got no. There's these terms, father of matrix, architect. These two terms, architect and father of matrix, and they wanted to know how this relates to him, or if it does relate to him. And what I got was, he is the father in a divine sense of a gift to humanity. And what I got was, he is not of control.
To treat him, give, and allow humanity to evolve with those gifts. And then, what about Google? And I got, he does like it, but he's locked in with the system regardless, and society is society after all. So, you gotta work with what you got sometimes. So, that's what I got for him. And alright, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and have a great day.